Organic evolution. Organic evolution is the change in the inherited characteristics of biological populations over successive generations. So from one generation to the next, the characteristics that would be inherited for parents could change in the offspring. And that slow change over successive generations is known as organic evolution. And these changes could be positive, they could be negative, or it could be a change that doesn't really have an effect at all. It could be neutral. Now, evolutionary processes give rise to diversity at every level of biological organization, from species to individual molecules. So there's going to be diversity between each species, and then within a species, the individuals are going to be different, and then within the individuals, the molecules are going to have diversity. So these evolutionary processes give rise to more changes, and the ones that you'll see that the changes that are positive are going to become more frequent than the changes that are negative, and the ones that are neutral might just phase out or hang around. It kind of depends on how prevalent those positive changes might be. Now, these variations or changes can occur for several reasons. One reason is due to mutations. And genetic mutations are random changes in the sequence of DNA base pairs. So the DNA is supposed to look one way. If it is changed due to an addition, a deletion, or just a complete switch in the coding, then that change is known as a mutation. And that change, again, could be positive, negative, or neutral, but it is a mutation and it does cause a change in that inherited trait. Another reason variations could occur is recombination. The offspring of organisms that reproduce sexually contain random mixtures of their parents' chromosomes, and that happens through recombination. So each parent has certain characteristics, and in the offspring, those characteristics are kind of mixed up and combined. So they're going to get a mixture, the offspring are going to get a mixture of their parents' chromosomes, and so they're going to have a mixture, some kind of combination of their parents' characteristics, and so those are inherited, and they are going to be not exactly the same as what their parents had because it's a mixture of each parent's chromosomes. Another reason variations can occur is epigenetic factors. And epigenetic factors are factors involved when genes are turned on or off due to changes in the organism's environment, and there is no change to the DNA at this point. So while it may appear like a mutation, it is not a change to the DNA, it is just a gene being turned on or off due to environmental factors, and these are known as epigenetic factors. An example would be when a person gets a suntan. They may have looked pale. Once they go into the sun, they either get burnt, and then that hopefully will turn darker and tan out for the person. And so a suntan is when certain genes to tan were turned on, where before they were turned off and the person's skin looked pale. Another reason variations can occur is gene flow. Gene flow occurs when genes are exchanged between populations or between species. And examples of that are movement of creatures between habitats or seeds being blown by the wind through different areas. And so the genes from either creatures that are migrating back and forth or seeds that are just getting blown to different areas, those genes are being transferred to different populations and between different species, and so that is known as gene flow, and it can cause changes in what inherited characteristics occur within a population or within a species. Another reason variations can occur is genetic drift. And that is the change in the frequency of a particular gene variant, known as an allele. alleles may disappear completely or become fixed as the only allele or the only option for a certain gene. For a lot of genes, there are different options. For instance, with eye color, there are lots of different options. Now, with people's eye color, it's a little bit different because you have to have a combination of alleles to get certain results. But let's say all the offspring from one generation of humans was born without an allele for a blue eye. Well, if then none of them had the allele possible to make a blue eye, then all successive generations would not have blue eyes. And then that would be when an allele disappeared completely. Now, if there were still other options, brown and green, within that generation of offspring, then there wouldn't be a fixed allele yet, but that one allele for blue eye color would be gone forever. And an example would be looking at marbles in a jar. So let's say we started with 9 individuals in a species, and each one of them had a offspring, and so we drew a marble 9 times and made 9 new individuals for the second generation. So let's say we started with 4 green and 5 orange. And drawing out and putting back into the first generation, we said, okay, well, we drew a green one, so put a green in the second and put the green back in the first. We drew an orange one, we drew a green one, and we drew 9 times until we ended up with 5 greens, or 6 greens and 3 oranges in the second generation. So that means that 6 of the individuals had the green allele and 3 of the individuals had the orange allele. So both alleles for this gene were present. In the third generation, the offspring came out with 5 green alleles and 4 individuals that had the orange allele. In the fourth generation, we had 7 individuals with the green allele and 2 individuals with the orange allele. And then in the fifth generation, we had all green alleles, no orange. So the orange allele is now going to disappear completely because none of the offspring in that fifth generation had the orange allele, which means that the green allele is going to become fixed as the only allele, the only option for that gene, or the only variant. And that is how genetic drift works. And it doesn't always become fixed, but between different generations, the frequency of an allele goes up or down. And it could be influenced environmentally or biologically, but it definitely drifts one way or another, and sometimes things are phased out and disappear forever, and sometimes the alleles become fixed as the only option. One other way that variations can occur is through natural selection. And natural selection, let's see, let me make this a little bit neater, is the process by which genetic mutations that enhance reproduction and survival become and remain more common in successive generations. So those genetic mutations, those characteristics that help an organism more, that attract more mates, that make it easier to survive, those traits are going to become more prevalent, and the individuals with those traits are going to be the ones more likely to survive, and those traits are going to become more common in future generations, where traits that are neutral are going to get kind of phased out, and traits that are not helpful or that repel mates and they make it hard for those individuals to reproduce, those are traits that are going to get phased out, or those individuals aren't going to survive. And so natural selection just kind of weeds out the bad traits and promotes the good traits. So you can see that organic evolution can occur due to several different factors, but the thing to remember is that organic evolution is that change in inherited characteristics from one generation to the next.